I'm here with Joe Dugan, and we just came out of the Horry County GOP meeting. And the motion to censure Lindsey Graham did not pass, but it did show that a lot of people are angry at Lindsey Graham. And it looked like, a lot of his supporters came out, including elected officials. And it seems like some of the rules were kind of very confusing. What's your thoughts on tonight and what happened?
Well, my first thought is that they did not even allow a vote on censure. They slipped something through at the very beginning to call it something else, much lesser charge, and nobody was ready for that. It just got pushed right through. I would say less than a third of the people even voted on it.
That's right, and you guys didn't even vote on the censure, really.
No, they wouldn't allow us to.
And they didn't really allow you to speak as well, is that true?
I tried to speak, and they shut me up.
All right. What's the next plan? I know that there's a grassroots movement that's trying to oust Lindsey Graham because of his voting record. Do you think the message is out that a lot of people are upset with Lindsey Graham?
I certainly think so, and my message tonight is that as a result of this fiasco here tonight, I went to Russell Fry and resigned as president of Wild Wing Precinct.
Wow. You just did that now?
I just did that right moments ago.
What does that say about the grip of power? Because there's a lot of intimidation, a lot of threats that were made. Basically, like if you vote for a censure, basically you're not going to have, they're not going to send money to the county. It's going to damage the county. I mean, those were subtle threats. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that what we're seeing here is what's happening nationwide in a microcosm. And when this is just like the Chamber of Commerce saying that they're raising $50 million to defeat Tea Party candidates across the country. These people are sticking where the money is, and have lost their principles, in my opinion. The Constitution is quoted, but the intent of the Constitution is totally misquoted. You don't put a senator in office for 6 years and then have to keep quiet while he takes another road from the principles that he was elected on. That's not what the Constitution meant, and that's the way it was tried to be portrayed.
It seemed like there was a call to unify behind the status quo and not freedom. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. A call to unify behind silence, and silence is what gets us into this mess that we're in. And this is I think this is it's abominable.
How can the grassroots and the liberty folks out there that want limited government, more freedom, what can they do at this point?
Well, they can do what we are trying to do, and that is to educate the American people. I tried to do that with the convention that we put on in Myrtle Beach, and there have been more than 1 million viewers over the nation that saw excerpts of that convention. And we reached out to the people in Ana, and we reached out to the people in Loris, and we asked them point blank how they felt about these issues. And they told us unquestionably, overwhelming numbers, 92 to 97%, that they are not in favor of what is happening, the issues that Lindsey Graham is supporting, and the things that are happening in Washington, D.C. They're outraged.
You showed me a survey that was quite striking. It was a pretty big sample, and it just, people overwhelmingly do not want amnesty.
Right.
They do not want a big government. They do not want Obamacare. And it seemed like it was representative of what real people think.
I call it my funnel cake poll, because I asked people when they were waiting in lines to buy funnel cakes and food at the fair. And this is a cross-section of just families coming out for a day of enjoyment after working hard all week. It was the broadest cross-section of America that you can get in one geographic location.
But it seems like they were not being represented by the people that we elect. It seems like, okay, the people don't want amnesty, they want to repeal Obamacare and have a free market solution, but it seems like they're not listening to us.
Well, I think that our next step, the step that we're taking now, is to try and get the message out to the public. And they are not ignorant as the mainstream media portrays them. They knew about all these issues. They knew about Benghazi. They knew about Syria. They knew about Obamacare. They knew about our borders not being secure. They're not ignorant at all. And what I feel is that they have become somewhat disengaged, and because of the economy and because they see so many of their Bill of Rights disappearing with this imperial presidency, that they have just huddled together with their friends and their families, and they have turned their backs on Washington, D.C. And our message is to them that they need to look over their shoulders and see what's going on. And our next step is to get these people back to the voting booth.
There's comments made that the Republican Party is becoming very similar to the Democrat. You can't really tell them apart. For grassroots activists that are trying to change the Republican Party from within, do you think that, number one, is that possible? Number two, what would you give words of encouragement if you feel that's the way, or should you just resign? I mean, what are grassroots activists are supposed to do? Should they still work within the party, or should they just start a third party?
I think that they should still work within the Republican Party. The Republican Party still does a lot of good things, but they're drifting away from us. It's the Republican Party that are leaving the American people, not the American people leaving the Republican Party. It's they need to stand up for our Constitution, and our Constitution is being shredded every single day. And without that foundation, you can kiss goodbye the American dream. You can kiss goodbye equal opportunity. We're going to be living in a socialist state, and I don't want to see that for my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I will not rest while I am still alive in trying to preserve our Constitution.
I'm with Janet Spencer. And what organization are you from?
I'm chair of the Carolina Patriots in Horry County. Proud chair of the Carolina Patriots.
And you're executive committeeman for the Horry County Republican Party?
I am not on my own precinct, but I did a proxy vote tonight for another EC.
What's your thoughts on tonight?
But basically, it was we the people coming forward to show our displeasure with Lindsey Graham, how he's represented Horry County. One of the worst things that I think is when he voted for Kagan and Sotomayor. When he did that, we've been downhill ever since.
Do you think Lindsey Graham is in trouble?
I do think Lindsey's in trouble. We have just begun.
But you think the message came across for not only conservatives but also people that are going to be watching this? What would you say to them? How can they change Washington? How can they replace Lindsey Graham with somebody that stands for constitutional principles?
I think tonight, even though we did lose this vote, we came up, I believe, with 27. The other side of the Republican Party here had to work a whole lot harder than we did to win this vote tonight. We'll see how many of these return back to the next Republican county meeting that we have. We won't see them again until it's election time. We will unite, and we will work hard to get us a conservative person to replace Lindsey Graham.
Janet Spencer, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
First, state your name.
Mike Butrin.
And you're executive committeeman for Horry County?
No, I am not. Just a member of the Horry County Republican.
Okay. And give me your thoughts on what happened tonight.
Well, I don't believe it was handled correctly. When objections are made and a decision of the chair is not recognized, then you have problems. So this is more of an analogy, kangaroo court. And to confirm that, this is Peggy Bushy.
There was a motion made to appeal the decision of the chair regarding the ballot voting as opposed to roll call. That was totally ignored. Then it was asked to be put on record. When that motion was made, that stopped the vote. Everything that happened thereafter was out of order, illegal, off the record. Should have shut it down right then. That was confirmed by the parliamentarian in the room.
So basically, no one was really able to vote on the Censure resolution that you guys put in your agenda. Basically, you objected, and it was ignored.
That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct.
And that was also...
Okay, I'm here with the chairman of the Republican Party for Horry County. There was a lot of different opinions tonight. There was first of all a censure resolution that was presented, but you guys didn't vote on that. You looked at the bylaws and you decided to go another route. Can you explain that process?
Well, what it is non-adherence to Republican principles. And so what they were wanted to vote on was to a censure would be they disagreed with his voting record. So he did not do anything immoral or anything like that. So all they were, the issue was about his voting principles. So since his voting principles didn't, he had to apply to the non-adherents. He didn't adhere to their principles, and that's what he voted for. And that's what we voted on. And the majority of people agreed that he did do it, so it was voted down.
Okay, now does that say that he does adhere to the party platform?
Yeah, yes.
So people believe that he is in
The majority.
The majority was in basically upholding the party platform.
That's right. He got about 60% of the vote.
But there was some. What was the final count vote on that?
40 to 27.
40 against.
That's right.
27 and 2.
40 thought he adhered to the principles. 27 thought he did not.
And two abstentions.
Abstentions.
Okay. Now there's some politicians here. There were elected officials. There was Senator Hembry and also Alan Clemens.
And Al Allen.
Right, and they were against it. They talked about not being.
See, this is the thing that's important. They were not, they didn't see this, as I don't, an issue about Lindsey Graham. It shouldn't be about Lindsey Graham. When you have a censure, it is about the party. The party needs to be united. We have a primary. When you try to have a censure or something like this, you try to take the primary away for the people. We got 300,000 people in Horry County. 27 people or 40 people or 67 people don't need to decide for 300,000 people. We have a primary set up in our Constitution, and that's to decide. You can vote for or con. You didn't hear one person here. You didn't hear me say one time, vote for Lindsey Graham or vote against Lindsey Graham, did you?
Now there's 4 people that came out to challenge Lindsey Graham. Is Lindsey Graham in trouble, you think?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you think he's strong in Horry County?
Here's the reason I say that. To the point, none of the 4 has made the point that they can do better than what he's done. If somebody has got a better idea, can do a better job, and can deliver more than he can, and they sell the people on, they'll get the vote. If they don't, until they prove they're better, it's his to lose. My feelings about the party, we should be united. We should be out trying to win as many races for the Republican Party as we can. It is not about Lindsey Graham. It is not about the Republican Party. I'm a Ronald Reagan Republican, the Big Tent. But Reagan said if you can get 85% of the people to vote for you, agree with you majority of the time, you're doing great. Well, and I think what's happening is the Democrats are trying to create a civil war because what they want is the Republicans fighting each other because that's the only way they can win. As long as we are united, we'll win. I mean, the reason Romney lost is because some of the people, so I'm not going to vote for him. He's not as conservative as I think. He don't do this, he don't do that. So what they did, they elected Obama by not voting. Is that smart? I mean, so my issue is not, whoever the nominee is after the June primary, I will work my butt off to elect them in November.